All right, what's up, guys? Adam back in with the RVA Returners. Back with Chris again, doing another review. This time it's Earth. They also got some pretty cool cards, I think. We got to see our first Final Fantasy 15 card this set, so we'll talk about that. And then as well as like some other stuff that Earth got. Yeah, so let's check it out.
And you know I'm always ready to talk about Earth.
All right, first up we got Asmodai. He's the Earth General. He's a 5 CP AK. When he enters the field, choose one dual forward opponent controls. If the cost to play Asmodai was only paid with Earth CP, break it.
I like this one too. This one might actually be my favorite in this general cycle. Um, my biggest problem is if he was an EX burst, he'd be insane. But I feel like Earth has better cards at that cost that do that better. So maybe he sees play as maybe like a one of, but I don't know. I like the card. I just don't know where he goes.
Yeah, I think if he sees play, it's going to be like on top of cards like Cecil.
Yeah,
and it
and
obviously,
Mustadia.
yeah, and it obviously has to be like in a mono Earth deck more than likely.
Oh yeah.
But I do like him. I think he brings something to the table, and there's definitely like you could warrant playing 5 Cecils, right? So like 3-2 split maybe could be good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he has a very relevant effect, so we'll see.
Yep. Next up is Vanille. She's a 4 CP 7K. When she enters the field, choose a dual forward, select one number. Reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card is of the same cost as the selected number, break it. And then she has a S for S Earth tap. At the end of the turn, dull all forwards opponent controls.
Man, I like this card a lot. It's super intriguing, and there's a lot of neat ways to set her ability up. Like you can play like an ephemeral summoner, put something on top. You can play a Seymour, put something on top. You can use what's it, Oracle, which is in a set late in a element later. I think this card is really really neat, and I hope it sees play, and I hope someone does some really cool stuff with it.
Yeah. Just some other cards off the top. The old Yule, that makes this free every time.
Yep.
The new legendary Yuna, same thing. That's a free ability. So there's a lot of ways to set this up, and if you could set this up consistently, it's very powerful because there's no limit on the number or the cost of the forward that you're targeting. All it has to do is be dull, and you're going to break it. And then her S is actually decent. I mean, obviously, you're going to use it at the end of your opponent's turn so that they have to, like, do something. Or, like, all their stuff's just going to get tapped, and then you can swing with all your Brave dudes into your Earth.
Yeah, I agree.
I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite cards because she's interesting in this set. I don't know if she's really good, though.
Yeah, like I can't wait to see what I hope somebody tries to do something with her because I don't know. I feel like she's a fun build around kind of control-y card, which seems really cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to build a deck with her in it. I just don't know if it's going to be a very competitive deck.
Yeah, it'll be hard for me to peel away from the old 4 CP vanilla.
Yep. Next up is Carbuncle. It's a 2 CP backup with back attack.
You know I'm a sucker for back attack. I like the fact that you can play a surprise backup. You could do some. We got another card like we had back in Fire. Surprise, motherfucker. I think this card's really cool. It is vanilla, yeah, but like it's one of those things that if you're on the draw, you can just like boom backup. I'll start the turn with a backup and play. A lot of neat stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and then obviously I've said this a couple times too. The dream is like this: turn your opponent's turn 1, then Simi and Star Sybil. But again, I don't know if this card is going to be worth the card slot, but I think it's really interesting.
So. It could combo very well with Dorgan as well. I know y'all talked about him in the Wind review.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely a cool interaction with Dorgan, for sure. Next up is Galuf. He's a 5 CP 9K Dawn Warrior. Galuf cannot be broken during your turn, and when he attacks, choose one forward. You may pay 2 Earth. If you do, it must block Galuf this turn, if possible. And then for S, it's just S. Choose 2 forwards that cannot attack this turn.
I like this card. He kind of suffers the same fate as a lot of other Earth 5 drops. He's just in a crowded space. I like the fact that he can't be broken on your turn, which kind of forces your opponent's removal on him to be done at sorcery speed, which means you play him on your turn. You could always, he's one of those cards that you play and you hold up the protection for the next turn because they're going to try to do something on that turn. So I like this guy. I want to see where he goes into, and I think like he's a monster in title, especially if you can go like turn one Kelgar this guy. Oof.
Yeah, and you could do that outside of title too. Like
You sure can.
Yeah, Earth Lightning might
Right.
be pretty decent. I'm not sure yet. I want to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head. He's in a crowded spot, but he does a lot of things that are strong. Um, his S is cheap, which usually is a sign of a good S most of the time.
Yep.
I like him. I'm just worried he's a bit too slow.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think he is very powerful if you can get him going. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Kryl. She's a 4 CP 8K job warrior light. The cost required to cast your summons can be paid with CP of any element, and when you cast a summon, choose one forward. It gains 1,000 power until the turn, and then discard one summon until end of turn. Kryl cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities.
I like this card a lot too. The fact that she has built-in protection for herself. Her job is super relevant. Her and like Graviton on the board at the same time is really good. And she's also great like in splash summon decks where it doesn't matter. Like now you can no longer screw yourself on CP to play your summons. I think she is a fantastic card.
Yeah, I like her a lot too. I think she shines more in like the multicolored tribal deck where you're running like all the Warriors of Light, and now you
Yeah, I
can
agree.
now you can play like Phoenix without having to worry about having a ton of fire CP.
Yep.
She also gives like extra protection to herself by discarding summons, and then now when you cast summons, you're gonna boost something. So I think she actually checks a few boxes off in a few different decks. So I'm interested to see like where she ends up and where she ends up being good because I do think she's a good card.
Yep, I agree.
Next up is Kolka. He's a 4 CP backup. When he enters the field, search for an Earth forward, add it to your hand. So it's basically like Ysayle and Merleweb for Earth.
Yeah, so yeah, we've seen these before. I think it's a good card. Earth already has a lot of searchers. Is this card better than Mog Mobius? Maybe. I don't know. I think I can see this card seeing like play in Earth decks as like a one of like this card will see as much play as Merleweb and Ysayle.
Yeah, which is a couple like a fair amount of play. Like they show up every now and then.
Yeah, I agree.
Because what they do is not bad. So yeah, I agree. Not much more to be said on that. Next up is Zagnul. He's a 2 CP monster. He's Earth's flip monster. When a character of cost 6 or more enters the field, Zagnul becomes a forward with 9,000 power.
I know we kind of talked about this card. The Earth has a few ways to activate him. I think one of the best things is like a post Shantoto. That really puts you in a good spot. He could be good, like if you're playing Earth Lightning after an X Death play would be really good. And again, that's a card we'll talk about in another review. But there's a lot of neat stuff here. A lot of neat stuff.
Yeah, I think he kind of falls in the same category like for Varuna. Except I think Varuna's a better card than this. But like, a card slot, right? Like finding the room in the 50 card deck for this card. Like obviously, if he gets activated, he's good. Cause he's a 9K for 2 CP.
Yep.
But we'll see. I don't imagine he'll see too much play, but there are plays you can do to set up to get him activated pretty easily.
Yeah, and I think of the flip monsters we've seen so far, this one is probably the most difficult to flip. But I feel like it could also have a huge reward because it's just a massive, massive body.
Yep. Next up is Shantoto. She's a 2 CP backup. For one colorless, name an element other than light and dark. Shantoto becomes the named element until end of turn. You can only use this ability once per turn.
Fantastic limited card, but man, if her name was anything but Shantoto, I think she'd be okay.
Yep. Yeah, really, really good and limited. Kind of meh everywhere else because you'd rather just run Shantoto if you're paying RCP to play a card named Shantoto.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't think she's going to see too much play outside of limited.
Yep.
Next up is Summoner. It's a 3 CP 7K. When it enters the field, choose a forward. If it costs paid to play Summoner included ICP, freeze it.
Meh. Not much happening there. I just, yeah, kind of, I don't know. All of these standard units with special abilities, I think were made with limited in mind. I don't know how much play they see outside of that.
Yeah, this might be one of the weaker ones, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think it's that great. I don't think it's going to see that much play. But I am intrigued by the concept behind a lot of these. I think some of them could see play in standard.
Yep.
Next up is Zazat. He's a 4 CP AK Dawn Warrior. He has 4 abilities. So for 2 Earth, he gains 2,000 power on a turn. For Earth and Ice, choose a dual forward, deal it 4K. For Earth and a Wind, choose a forward, activate it. And for Earth and Lightning, choose one active forward, deal it 4K.
I like this card. He can do a lot of different things. I think it's just a matter of what deck you put him in and what he replaces. I think if he's one of those cards that he can kind of be, kind of a budget wool, as we've kind of called him, just not, definitely not nearly as good. But paying the 2 Earth to give something, a power boost in a mono Earth deck is fine. I think Earth Ice is probably where he's going to do his best work, personally.
Yeah, I think he's going to struggle to find a place in any deck, to be honest. Like, all of his effects are solid, but you have to have backups down of the 2 different elements if you want to make it cost-effective. He is a pretty cool budget card, though, for sure, like you said. Yeah. I mean, he's just an H. So, and I don't think he's going to be, like, a super rare, like, hard to find because he's really competitive H. So I think you'll probably be able to get him on the cheap. If you need to replace cards in your deck. But I don't think he makes final lists at like really high competitive decks.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up is another Tama. She's a 2 CP Earth backup. For 1 Earth, tap, put her in the break zone. Choose a Wolf card in your break zone, add it to your hand.
Again, I don't know. All of this Wolf stuff is kind of weird. I don't know. I think the old Tama is just better.
Yeah, I like both the other Tamas. But, I mean, if a WAF deck is good, this is probably pretty decent. And if WAF title is good, this is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that.
But we'll see. I don't really have high hopes for either one of those things.
Same.
Next up is Talika. She's a 2 CP 5K. She has a field ability that you can discard light and dark cards from your hand to produce CP. Light cards produce 2 light CP, and dark cards produce 2 dark CP.
I think this card's kind of neat. It can kind of, again, this is another one of those cards in vein to me that we talked about when we did the Fire review, that she has a way to kind of, ungum your hand if you're stuck with light and dark cards. It's a neat ability. I think her by herself doesn't really warrant you running a bunch of extra light and dark cards, but I think it's the start of something good.
Yeah. I think she's a card you'll look to in the future. Like, maybe there becomes a point where you can run a heavy dark or heavy light deck, and she's going to be in there. For sure. But she's going to need extra help, too. Like, you're going to need more cards that allow you to do that. So, right now, I don't think she's very good, but if it comes to that point, she'll be a card that you look back to.
Yep, I agree.
Next up is Necromancer. It's a 2 CP standard unit backup for 3 Earth, 1 colorless, tap, break. Choose a job standard unit in your break zone, play it onto the field.
Oh boy, is that thing expensive. I think if it didn't cost so much, it could actually be a really solid card. I don't know. Not much happening here, in my opinion.
I like this card, actually. Only reason is because it doesn't specify forward. So you can, get backups back, put it onto the field. So you could do things like break this to play a minor to get this back to play this again and kind of start like a minor loop that way. It is expensive, though. Like, that's not cheap to do. And then you're really going to get your value when you get really, really big standard units like Paladin or, I guess the 5 CP Warrior, even though he's not that good.
Sure.
Because obviously you're kind of getting them at a slight discount. Also, maybe you're playing like an Earth X deck and you want to get some off-color standard units, you could do that too.
Sure.
But again, these are all like kind of narrow uses, and I don't know if they're going to be that great. But I think it's cool that you have the ability to do those things.
Sure.
Next up is Noctis. He's a 3 CP 7K EX Burst. His EX Burst is when you receive damage, choose 1 forward. If you have received 6 points of damage, break it. When you receive damage, choose up to 1 forward opponent controls. Noctis and the chosen forward deal damage to each other equal to their respective power. And then for 2 Earth and 2 colorless, during this turn, the next damage dealt to Noctis becomes 0 instead.
I'm a big fan of this card. This is one of the Earth cards I'm most excited about. Um, I can't wait to build some stuff around him. I think he's great in Earth Fire. He combos very well with the 5-drop Cecil. He could potentially make Opus 6 Bahamut a playable card. I think he's really neat, and I can't wait to see what people do with him. And I can't wait to try him out more.
Yeah, I think he's the card most people are excited about. He's got a lot of things going for him. Obviously, if you can get that 6 point of damage ability off, like that's going to be really good. He combos very well with Big Cecil, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, I think he's a solid card. I think Earth Water is going to be like his main home. I think they have a lot of things he can do to abuse in there. Yep. But I think he's good outside of that too. So I think he's going to see a ton of play early. I don't know how much play he's going to see after that. Like, I don't know if he's going to continue to be very good or not, but I think you'll see him. I just don't know how much yet.
I think he's a card that definitely is like a 2 of. I could never see the full play set of him being run, honestly.
Yeah. Next up is Bahamutian Soldier. It's a 2 CP standard unit. He's a 5K, and if you control a monster, he's a 7K.
Yay. Not kind of vanilla, kind of bleh.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, pretty vanilla, unless some kind of Earth standard unit deck comes out where you're playing this with monsters. And even then, I don't know if it's worth. Yeah, it's kind of meh.
I agree.
Next up is Geomancer. It's basically Opus 1 Monk.
Yep. Just with category 5, I believe.
Yeah, kind of the same concept as all the other reprinty cards. So, I mean, that card doesn't see much play. I don't expect this to see much play. I don't see a reason why you'd want to run 6. So
I agree.
Next up is Prish. She's a 9 CP 9K. Cost required to play Prish onto the field is reduced by 1 for each card named Prish in your break zone, and when she enters the field, choose 1/4 opponent controls, deal a damage equal to Prish's power.
Man, oh man, we got a Prish dot deck coming in hot. I think she's great in title, and I think if you're building a deck around Prish, I think she's an auto include. I like her ability. She be fun with like a Magic Pot deck maybe. Again, if you're building a deck around Prish, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of all the points I have too. Like if you're playing a Prish deck that's Earth, which is really the only Prish deck that exists, it's solid. If you're playing Magic Pot with Prish, it's solid. If you're playing Title and a bunch of Prish, it's solid. Other than that, I don't think you're touching this card. I don't think you really want to hard cast this ever.
No.
But like there's ways to cheat Prishes in, so.
Yeah, because if I'm paying 9 for something that doesn't begin with Nid or end with Hog, I'm going to feel bad. Or maybe Sin, but
Next up is Flan. It's a 2 CP monster. For put Flan in the break zone, choose a forward. Your opponent doesn't pay 3. It cannot attack or block this turn. Discard Flan. Choose one blocking for it. It gains 1,000 power in 1 turn. You only use this a power if Flan's in your hand.
I like this card because it's named Flan and it's searchable by the by the Ice Flan, and that could make some neat like some Earth Ice builds or pretty much a tempo Ice build, but you're running the Flans just so you can play Shantota, because sometimes Ice has a problem with things going wide, and now you get to add a board wipe that just kind of naturally fits into the deck. So
yeah. I like it for that aspect too. I think the name is what's the best part of the card, honestly.
Yep.
The name and the element is the best part of the card. The other stuff is kind of just like meh. It's okay. Like like a big Flandit is decent for 1 turn, making them have to pay 3, and then discarding to give something 1,000 power could be relevant. But yeah, most of the time you're gonna use the Ice Flan to go get this to produce Earth CP to play Shantota.
Yep.
Which is pretty good.
I agree.
So. Next up is Moogle Crystal Chronicles. It's a 4 CP backup, Jaw Moogle. And the Jaw Moogle backups you control produce CP of any element.
This card was a superstar in Limited, but I think if you're playing like a Moogle deck, you could honestly play Ice Earth now with most of your backups being Moogles, and it really cleans your mana up. And I don't know. I think this card could lead to some really unique deck construction focus around just like Moogle backups, and you can just kind of build the rest of the deck to kind of how you want.
Yeah, I think all that stuff is pretty spot on. Obviously, like probably 3-color Moogles is where this card will shine.
Mm-hmm.
My idea, and it's probably really bad, but like maybe like some kind of 5-color, 6-color good stuff deck where you're playing like all the best cards like Genesis, Alua, and it doesn't matter what color they are, and then your backups are just Moogles. Might
Yeah.
might might be okay, but it sounds really janky. I might try it though, just for fun. But I think this, yeah, like you said, he's limited superstar. He's pretty amazing there. He does something for the Moogle archetype when you're playing more than 2 colors, I think. But other than that, yeah, I think he's more of like a, you're gonna see this guy in some really janky builds, and that's fun. I mean, for sure, it's a fun card. So
I can't wait to see what people do with it.
next up is Monk. It's a 4 CP AK. When he enters the field, choose 1 damage forward. If the costs paid to play Monk included Lightning CP, deal it 5k.
Man, again, here we are, another one of these kind of just vanilla standard units that was good for limited.
Yeah, he's kind of meh. He's not very good. I definitely on the lower end of the multicolor standard units for me for this one.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the last Earth card is Yojimbo. So Final Fantasy X actually has another summon now. It's 4 CP EX Burst. Choose 1 forward you control and 1 forward opponent controls. The former gains 1,000 power until end of turn, and then each forward deals damage equal to its power to the other. And then if Yojimbo results in EX Burst, the former gains 3,000 power instead.
I like this card, and I don't like this card. I like it because, it's another great EX Burst for Earth. And I like it also because it's a superstar in title for 10. They've got like another, like, this is a legit summon for them. And I don't like it because I think it might be one of the biggest flavor fails in the game. I really wish I could just, like, I don't know, wrap up $1 and put it around this card and have it do something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the flavor. I wish I could, like, pay more into it and have it do more. But otherwise, I think it's a good card. I just think it's one of those cards that, like, it's misnamed. This card could be anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I think Yojimbo should be like a 1 CP summon that you can pay more into it to do stuff. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, 100.
But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I think it's the best summon in the set, but that's not saying much.
It's true.
Because I think the summons in the set kind of dropped the ball in power level.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad. It's a burst, so if you're running like heavy burst EX or heavy burst Earth deck, it probably fits in right there. If you're not, though, I think Hekaton Chair is probably just better because it's cheaper. Titan's better for 1 more CP because they're not actually fighting. Titan's like a one-sided fight. But if you want the extra bursts, I think he's worth it. And then, like you said, in title, pretty good.
Yeah, I think title's going to be like the best place for him, with Earth EX Burst decks obviously being a close second.
Yep. Yeah, so that's all the Earth cards. Some pretty solid stuff. I mean, Noctis is pretty cool. I think you're going to see some of these cards. But not overall, like not a huge jump in power for Earth, at least from first view. But
which is fine because they seem to have gotten like really good cards the last couple sets. So maybe them getting taking a break is fine.
I mean, but hey, they only need 1 or 2 more insane cards to get even more insane. So some of them might be good enough. So
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
But yeah, next up will be Lightning, I believe. So should be fun. So that's it. Yeah, see you guys later.